Reader's here. Audit is here. Sanchez is here. Ms. Kirk. And Ms. Stevat. And Ms. Lotz. Thank you. Motion to approve the agenda? Oh, motion to approve the agenda.
I second it.
Motion by Mr. Reader, second by Ms. Sanchez. All in favor?
Aye.
Student vote?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, reports, student reports. Ms. Stevat, HQ President.
So boys and girls soccer are now beginning their season games, and we play at Fraser Mountain tomorrow. Basketball is also getting into their season. Boys and girls will be playing Palmdale High School. This week, boys play the 6th at Palmdale, and girls play the 9th here in our gym. Wrestling's also begun their season with a meet on the 12th at Kern Valley High School. And boys volleyball has been officially added onto Roseman High School's campus. Games will be held in the spring, so we will update you with dates of events as the time grows near. We're all excited to see our school participate in this sport, so please come out and support all of our athletics. These athletes are amazing. Yearbooks are still being sold. The first deadline to reserve a yearbook has passed. If students or their parents wish to buy one, it's now $75, but that price can be reserved with a $5 deposit. Being back in school, we will be resuming our NPDL meetings and have been hearing feedback on a bunch of our ideas, and it's been really promising and encouraging for the students to hear that, you know, their ideas are supported. And then the students in ASB have been planning their own projects for our school and community just to encourage school spirit and teacher appreciation, leadership, and just unity as a community. So be on the lookout for these projects within the next couple of months. But other than that, hope you all had a great break. Happy New Year. That's it, guys.
Great ideas. Ms. Jocelyn.
Tropico is having our Winter Wonderland in Paris ball on January 20th, 2017, hosted by ASB, and tickets are also on sale. The Christmas movie night was a big success. Basketball season has officially started. Today we had our first game. Boys and girls both played, and there were football signups at both lunches today, so I hope.
So, do you know if there's a blood drive coming up?
We do have a
February.
couple coming up. The next one is February 27th.
Okay, thank you. They called me today, so I was just...
They call me every day.
I know. Well, I know.
Do not give out your number.
I know. My son gave, and he's 23 years old, I think, you know.
There's one more in May, too.
Oh, okay.
And it's May 8th.
That's always a nice thing. Thank you, except they call you forever.
Oh, my goodness.
When she retired, what was your phone number? No.
Did you have that special one?
Okay, SKUSD Showcase, that'll be January 18th. And we have with us our friend, our annual audit report for 2015-2016. Let's go see it.
I don't know if it is or not, I'll just talk loud. Good evening, I'm Jeannie Garcia, and I am the owner of Jeanette L. Garcia Associates, and we did the audit for the year ended June 30th, 2016. Just to give you a little background on how we do our audit, we break it up into two major phases. We come out in the spring, we call that our interim audit. And it's that time where we're looking at internal controls at the district office, payroll, accounts payable, accounts receivable, but we also go out to the school sites and we audit the student bodies, we audit attendance accounting, because attendance is the basis for your apportionment, so we spend a lot of time making sure your attendance is correct. We come back in the fall after the books are closed, and we call that final, the final part of the audit, and that's when we're focusing on the year-end balances and the rest of the federal and state compliance that we didn't look at in the spring. When we're all done, we have this report. The main objective of the audit is to give an opinion on the financial statements, but because this is also considered a compliance audit, we're testing your compliance with federal and state laws while we're here. So in the audit report, there's actually 3 or 4 different opinion letters. There's a page in the audit that kind of summarizes it for you, and it's towards the back, page 71. And this kind of summarizes all of our opinions and what findings we may have had. Our opinion on the financial statements is that they are fairly presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. It's called an unmodified opinion. Had it been a modified opinion, it would say, except for this, everything is fine. So an unmodified is the opinion that you want to have. We had no findings in internal control. Like I said, this was a single audit, so we're testing your compliance with federal programs, and this year we tested your compliance with the child nutrition program. We try to rotate the programs that we audit so that every 3 years we hit all the big ones. We did have an unmodified opinion on state compliance. However, we did have a couple of exceptions that were included in the findings and recommendations. Like I said, our opinion on the financial statements was that they were fairly presented. We did have a couple of audit adjustments, but we're going to work with Eric this year and make sure that all of these things get posted and cleaned up so that they won't be in here next year. Does anybody have any questions?
I just have, a comment. Just, it seems like when you step up to the plate, you think everything is good. And
Everything
you
is
just-
good except
right,
for a couple
yeah.
things.
Right.
And those are our 2 findings in the back of the report.
You know, Ms. Garcia, could you do me a favor, and I reviewed the findings on page 72, 73, 74 with the board,
Okay.
but could you just explain page 72 and 73?
Okay.
Right? That'd
Yeah.
be good. 72 and 73, just so explain the form for the kindergarten, how that kind of worked out, and then obviously the minutes at the high school, how that kind of worked out.
Kindergarten continuation is one of the specific compliance items that the state requires us to audit. And this goes back to, I think, 1990. The state said that they will not give a district apportionment funding for a kindergarten student in their 2nd year of kindergarten unless they fill out this form. It's a kindergarten continuance form, and it has to be it's very specific. The state says it has to be this form, and you can download that from the Department of Ed's website. And this form has to be signed on or near the anniversary date of that student's enrollment in kindergarten. So for example, if they enroll in January, mid-year, come the following January, that's when you have to get the form filled out, because that's when they start their 2nd year of kindergarten. And that's where we had some confusion, because the anniversary dates on the forms were incorrect. They had the beginning of school, when the students actually enrolled in February or November. So the forms were getting signed at the wrong time. And as a result, we can't get the funding for that because the forms weren't done properly. So because of that, we did lose a little bit of ADA, 1.74 ADA, which worked out to about $15,000 in funding.
So on the anniversary date, so when we're talking kindergarten, that includes TK going or no? TK
Not
is a
TK.
separate year, considered a separate year, not a second year of
Yes,
kindergarten.
if they're in TK and then they go to kindergarten, that's not this.
Right.
Now, if they're in kindergarten and then do kindergarten again,
Right,
then we need to have the form.
okay.
Now, there is an exception though. If they're in TK, but they're old enough to be a kindergartner, they would need the form.
Oh.
So something to remember there.
So old enough to be a kindergartner, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write that one down, that's it.
Now, the other finding was on instructional time. And Ed Code requires that students be enrolled in school for a certain number of minutes per year. And for some reason, I'm not sure what happened, the high school was short, 725 minutes below the requirement, which is waiverable. The state will, it's almost an automatic waiver for anything this low. But in order to get the waiver, you have to tell the state, well, we're gonna make it up twice. So you'd have to actually add 1,450 minutes to your schedule to get the waiver. Or there would be a penalty of $86,000.
Lynn, that has to do with the flex schedule and lunches, right? It wasn't with the basic bail schedule, it had to do with the,
I think it was the, I think on minimum days, it was.
There could have been too many minimum days. I'd have to go back and look.
Yeah, I think it was the minimum days.
if you have that, if you could email me that in your notes, and then I can forward it to the board.
Okay, yeah,
There was a
I'll look
question
that up.
on
and-
exactly what caused the deficiency.
Okay, because it could be that there were too many minimum days, or the regular days just weren't long enough to support having all those minimum days. Yeah, I can look and see if I can tell.
Yeah, if you have it in your notes, if
Yeah.
it's easy, that'd be great. Okay, thank you.
And you know, Ms. Garcia, what amazes me is, and I don't want to minimize this and say this in the weeds, but when we get down in the weeds, and just the littlest thing, and we can see it right here, how much it is, you know, it's not gonna stop the presses, but yet, you know, just this little, it's not trivial, but just bell schedules. You never think about bell schedules and reporting and not writing the right number, but it does come back to, we can see that it does come back to.
It does.
Yeah, and it can be in big waves.
Mhm.
And you've been auditing us for many years now.
This is our fourth,
Since I first got here, right?
yeah, it's your first year, is
My first
when
year,
we
so this is
started.
the fourth.
And I don't want you to sit here and compare us to other, that's not what I'm saying, but it seems like we've had findings, but they have been huge. And I think to our credit, we've fixed all the
Oh,
findings that we've.
yes.
And I think it's the ones, and Mr. Weinstein has pointed out, it's the ones that don't. You know, that say, oh, well, that's nice, but we don't, we can.
Well, yeah, our first year, and even the second year, we had a lot of internal control findings. Weaknesses in the business office, you know, lack of segregation of duties, lack of documentation on, you know, receipts or disbursements. And we don't have those kind of findings anymore. So I would say that's an improvement right there.
Yes, ma'am. So thank you. And that is interesting about that, if they're old enough to be a kindergarten. I never, you know, yeah. Well, thank you, man.
You're welcome.
Bond audit.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Because you passed, let me grab that. I don't remember what I can't remember what the measure was. Was it measure H?
Yeah, it was measured, yeah, I think it was measured, yeah.
I mean, we've probably done 10 of these this year, and everybody has different measure letters, and they're all confused in my mind. But your measure H was passed with 55% or more of the population, which triggers a financial and performance audit on those funds. And you have to have this audit every year until these funds are spent. So we do this in conjunction with the regular audit so that we're not duplicating steps. And we pull an expanded sample of bond expenditures, and we're looking to make sure that not only are all the internal controls in place over spending that money, but that it was spent on the proper projects, and that everything that those bond monies are used for was part of the approved project list. And we found no exceptions with the bond expenditures. Everything was accounted for properly and spent on the appropriate projects.
And it's all of our monies. You know, we voted for this. You know,
Yes.
so I think the most discouraging thing is as somebody that did this, we're all together here, is to say, well, we've got this money, we're going to build this, but wait a minute, we didn't. This is what the money's for. It's not for to buy a horse or a cow or a pig or whatever. You know, so and obviously it's because this is the second or third the bonds because this is your first bond.
On this one, it's the
Second or third
This
bond?
one, I think, is the second year, because we had old bond money that we had to spend first.
Yeah,
And I think
right.
we spent all of that last year, so now all we have is,
The new bond money, right.
yeah, the new bond.
I was just telling Ms. Kirk, it is interesting when you look at it. I remember Mr. Gutierrez been here a long time. He's brought out some things that we may have forgotten in certain issues and things. So doing it right and getting it right is so important. You know, I mean, we as taxpayers want to make sure that, you know, we've got all our I's crossed or T's dashed.
We checked.
Yes, ma'am. Right. Thank you. Let's go to the Board communications. All right, I'm going to start off with the longest tenured gentleman here, person, I should say.
You can say that.
Can I hold this one here?
Well, I didn't want to say that.
Just happy to see everybody here and everybody's back at it and back in school. And happy holidays to everybody. Here we go.
Thank you. Mr. Reader?
Hope everybody had a good holiday break and goes to the second half of the year, back to the grind.
I've been where you are, and this week probably sucks. But, okay, I know it's not probably. Hey, you know, it's like starting school all over again in a sense, but anyway, I hope that everybody had good Christmas break and that you're ready for this year and that the kids don't have too much of a sugar high when they come into your classroom, because I know there's probably still leftover cookies and candy canes or something around. And just thank you so much, just for everything you do. I know we can't really say that often enough, but yeah, you're good. Appreciate it so much, and Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Sanchez?
Welcome back, everyone, and I hope you all had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and just thankful to be here another year, and hopefully we all work together to have the students have a successful year. And for graduation, right?
Thank you. I echo what everyone else said. I'm glad everybody's back. I hope everybody had a lovely Christmas and a Happy New Year. And a couple little shout outs. One to Ben and Sodexo for what you did over the holidays.
Yes.
Thank you. For the,
that was the whole food service department.
yeah,
Absolutely.
we just did, I think Mr. Weinstein told us you guys served just a little under 600 meals.
A little bit over 400.
A little bit over 400.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a success. It was good.
Right, yeah, I know, that's my escape. My wife would say, why don't you just take the kids down there and feed them, and, which would be nice if they would just stay off the tables, Tables were made for glasses, not feet. Anyway, so thank you for that. And then I guess in April, we're gonna be doing a dual thing, so, not to let that cat out of the bag, I guess I just did that. But that was okay, boss? Okay.
You're the boss.
I know, but sometimes, and one other thing, I personally would like to say thank you to all our crossing guards. They get out there and they do, and they save our children. I have seen, I've been a culprit of it. When the bus stops and the sign comes out, and this is a different thing. Or when they come out now, and Robert over at Tropico, a car broke down. Robert's pushing the car and holding up his sign with one hand. It's amazing. I'm like, whoa, because he had just gotten the car over and had come up and he had that sign up. He was doing his job, pushing with one hand and holding it up with the other, So, and these people, they do a lot. They're out there and it's cold, and some people aren't real nice, and they're too busy, or we go, especially in Rosa, we're way too fast, So a lot of to Rose and all her folks. It's pretty amazing. And I'm glad everybody's back. Thank you. And good to see everybody. And we'll keep that blood going, Miss Mockerty. and welcome back to our students. We appreciate that. You ladies do a great job. Thank you. Anyway, okay, thank you very much. RTA reports?
Jim sends his regrets. He's under the weather, and he said he'll see you at the next one.
Great, okay. He feels better. CSCA reports? CSCA? And we do have comments from the public. Let me read this real quick. Members of the public may address the board on any items within the jurisdiction of the board by submitting presentations requests to the secretary. Members of the public are strongly urged not to mention personal by name and are reminded that they do not have immunity from legal action in personal or name. The board may limit each speaker to 3 minutes with a total of 20 minutes per topic. People wishing to speak on items that are on the board agenda will be called upon when these items are considered. People wishing to speak on items that are not on the board agenda will be called upon at this time. Since the board generally cannot take actions on items that are not on the agenda, such items will be referred to the superintendent for handling. And we do have Mr. Adams. This has nothing to do with what he's going to talk about, but it's Mr. Adams.
Last month, my son addressed the board discussing his Eagle project, and he wanted to be here tonight to finish that, but he was actually he's actually coaching one of those youth basketball teams, so he's been at basketball practice with another adult coach coaching some 8-year-olds. But I was just going to report on the camp for him. The camp went very well. It was a 2-day camp, 8 hours each day, probably more like 10 hours for him each day with the prep and the takedown. Eagle Scouts are supposed to have 100 hours invested into their project. I think he had after the first day, he had 120 with all the volunteers, because he had, I think he ended up with each session about 10 coaches, 10 adults coming in, so 10 times 8, and he exceeded his hours pretty quick. We had about 100 kids show up. We had enough donations to buy a prize for each session, to give a basketball to the most valuable camper. We have this picture frame, which it's got some pictures. I just wanted to hold one of the board to have that. School district. Just thanking Southern Kern for allowing us to use the facility. Sally said, well, he's just thanking you now.
Oh, that's Sally.
I don't finalize it, so it still requires board approval. He's not just thanking you, he thanks me for all the other things. But he is truly grateful for being able to use the facility so that he can get this done. He's put a lot of work into his scouting, and this is a project. So there's a lot of Eagle Scouts that go and do things, that build things and do some things that Colby and his father aren't capable of doing. So this is right up our alley. So he did a great job. And we have one for Sodexo too, back at the school, but Colby wanted to be able to give that one to Ben Montgomery himself. Sodexo donated 13 cases of water, more than enough water to cover waters for all the kids. So we were very grateful for that. Also, Foster's donated all the hot dogs to feed the coaches, the hot dogs and the buns. And then the Moose Lodge, run by John Garcia, one of our campus safety officers, donated $155, which covered all of the other expenses, including the prizes. So we did, Colby didn't have to pay for anything. He was able to cover everything, every expense through volunteer work and donations. So we're very appreciative. And that came from basically the SKUSD family. I mean, even Foster's donates all the time to SKUSD. So it was a Rosen-based and funded project. So we were very grateful for that. So thank you.
And now he has to write all of that too, right?
Yes, he has to. Now he has basically like an after-action report that he has to do.
Don't forget the cook.
Yeah.
Mr. Adams was barbecue.
He did not eat the profits either.
Thank you, Mr. Adams.
Thank you.
Did you tell Colby? All right, superintendent's report.
I just want to welcome everybody back and give a quick update of our construction. So for the Ascend Academy, 4 of the buildings that were dropped are ready to be occupied. Mr. Wexler and his team will be putting in the computers, the projectors and phones in the next couple of days, and we will actually be able to start moving the duplicated classrooms over to the 3 new classrooms. The furniture is being ordered that we still need for their MPR. So they have an MPR room and a cafeteria MPR room. Fridge was delivered today, which is pretty good. We just ordered it yesterday too, so that's pretty good. The new special education office is ready to go. The maintenance and operations will be slowly moving, helping them move over. So over the next week, we should have special education. So Ascend will have its own administrative building, which is important now because they will soon be growing very rapidly, because we have a very long waiting list from other districts to join the Ascend Academy. And the 2 new buildings, in addition to the 4, because Ascend grew so rapidly, we actually, in the middle of construction, had to order 2 additional buildings, 2 additional classrooms. And those 2 additional classrooms will be dropped on January 14th. And we hope to have them ready to be occupied by beginning of February. So that is something. And although Bruins are partners with the new Roseman Elementary School project, did take 2 weeks off. They are, a lot of their subcontractors are from out of town, so they give them the 2 weeks off. They are still well on schedule, and the rains did not hurt them. Obviously, we have the roof on just about every building except the MPR. So we will be looking forward to them continuing at the rapid pace they have been continuing. Our meeting said that everything still looks good and ready to go, and everything is moving along. And we're very excited about that being on time. So that's it.
I just gotta say this real quick. What amazes me is how much this is just growing. We're just blowing up. The day U Elementary School principals come and say we have 1,000 students, it's like, we don't do that in Roseman. That can't be. But we're getting there. It's just amazing. It's just this whole thing is just like wow. Anyway, so thank you, Marcy. All right.
So the administration is asking to accept the audit as presented by our external auditors.
I'll make a motion that we accept the audit.
I'll second it.
Mr. Terrace, second by Ms. Sanchez. All in favor?
Aye.
Steve Booker?
For exemptions or that, what happens is our total amount that we were supposed to get, we are being informed by the tax collector or the county tax that it may fall short if those exemptions are approved, along with the interest that is accrued. So the total amount is a little over $500,000. So it is our responsibility to inform the county tax people that we would like them to impound taxes to make up for the $502,000 we are short on our tax rolls. So we're asking the board to approve a resolution to that effect that allows us to communicate with the county tax collector that we realize that we possibly could be short $502,000 and to start impounding taxes to make up that difference so that we will not fall short in our annual revenue.
I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution.
Mr. Terrace? All in favor?
Aye.
December 2016, the Williams uniform complaints under Education Code 35186. Ms. Hargis?
We do not have any complaints.
You know, it's funny, Ms. Hargis, when I think about this, I remember, we could have probably papered a wall with all the complaints we used to have at one time. And maybe that's a little bit much. Okay, so maybe they were half a wall, But, and that was back in the day, before microwave, many years ago. But now it's like, we don't have any. We haven't had any in a while. That's kind of
Not in a
nice.
long time.
Right. That's easy. Thank you.
We'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
They have essays to read.
Mr. Reader seconds it. Motion made by Ms. Dibble. Seconded by Mr. Reader. All in favor?
Aye.
5 ayes. Yay, student vote. Yay.
Student vote.